Children's Traditional Literature Annotated Bibliography by Savannah, Jamie, Jennifer, Samantha, and Olivia. The primary books are Paul Bunyan, Goldilocks, Three Little Pigs, Cinderella, and The Lion and the Mouse. Paul Bunyan was published by HarperCollins. It is 48 pages long. It's recommended for 1st to 3rd grade, and it is a tall tale about an oversized baby growing into a giant lumberjack with an oversized pet ox named Babe. Throughout the story, Paul goes on wild adventures, traveling across the country and finally making it to California. It has won the Horn Book Award, and it is a Caldecott Medal winner. This story can be used in the classroom to teach about sequencing. Students can arrange into groups, and each group can write about one event from the story. Then, all the groups can work together on placing the events in order. This book is a great tall tale that contains metaphors and very descriptive language. Goldilocks was published by Longman and Reese, and it is 32 pages long. It's intended for kindergarten to 3rd grade, and it is a story of a little girl who stumbles into a home of 3 bears. She makes herself at home as she eats and then sleeps. She wakes up to the bears and runs out of the house. It is also a Caldecott Medal winner. This book can be used in the classroom for students to create a color book of events that took place throughout the story. Goldilocks is definitely a classic. The Three Pigs was published by Clarion Books. It is 40 pages long and intended for kindergarten to 3rd grade. It is the classical tale of the 3 little pigs with a twist. It starts with the 3 little pigs building their own home, and the wolf that just won't keep huffing and puffing. But the pigs are in for a surprise. The wolf huffs and puffs them away to another dimension with mythical creatures and unknown wonders. It is a Caldecott Medal winner. This book can be used with lower elementary students for a reader's theater. The teacher will make small groups according to how many characters a scene has. Then, he or she will give each group a scene, a character to play, and a copy of their lines. Next, the students will create a mask of their character. They will need construction paper, glue, scissors, markers, and elastic bands to hold their mask on. The students will have 10 minutes to create their mask and another 10 to 15 minutes to practice their scene. After this time, the students will present their scene to the class as they read off their script. Cinderella was published by Dairy-Dale Books, is 176 pages long, and intended for the 4th grade. After her father dies, a young girl is left with her stepmother and stepsisters. The young girl wishes for a life other than the one she has. Her fairy godmother appears and grants her wish to attend the prince's ball, where she falls in love with the prince. However, at midnight, the magic wears off and she flees the ball, so that the prince doesn't see her for who she actually was. She accidentally leaves her shoe on the steps of the palace where she flees. The prince searched high and low until they were reunited, and it is a Golden Bear Award winner. This book can be used in the classroom to encourage children to never give up on their dreams, and that it is never too bad of a situation in one's life to change it. Spinning the book in such a way that students feel as though they are capable of taking their fate into their own hands can be very beneficial. Perhaps ask the students to make a timeline of their lives and continue it to the future, asking them what would they take into their own hands and what would they change. The Lion and the Mouse was published by Little Brown Books, and it is 40 pages long and intended for pre-K to 3rd grade. One day, a mouse wakes a lion while he is sleeping. The lion decides to let the mouse go without any trouble, and the mouse says one day he'll owe the lion a favor. The lion doesn't believe a small mouse could ever help him. Then, one day, the lion is caught in a net, and the mouse sets him free by chewing at the rope. The Lion and the Mouse has won the Horn Book Starred 2009, the Caldecott Medal Honor 2010, and Children's Book of the Year 2010. This book can be used in the classroom to teach about helping others. Explain to students that no matter how small they are or the act may seem, it is always good to be helpful. Perhaps build a lesson on character and helping words. This book can also be used around Thanksgiving when we talk about being helpful and thankful. Our response to the primary selections. Our group found this category the most enjoyable as these are the most fanciful stories. Cinderella was our favorite story from the primary selections. We feel that it provides a positive, empowering story about taking your life into your own hands and changing things that don't serve you well. This is important for this age level because it inspires children to believe in themselves. Paul Bunyan, we feel, is a great tale of determination in overcoming adversity and obstacles. The Three Pigs is an excellent representation of why the easiest path may not be the best path to take. We think that Goldilocks is a great tool in teaching kids about manners, self-control, selfishness, and how important it is to respect others' boundaries and things. The Lion and the Mouse is a lesson in friendship and helping those no matter how different they may be. We feel that this is important at this age as children are starting to develop relationships. The intermediate books are The Wizard of Oz, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Ella Enchanted, and Robin Hood. The Wizard of Oz was published by Dover Children's Evergreen Classics. It is intended for grades 6 to 8. It is 144 pages long. Dorothy Gale lands in the land of Oz after being swept away from her Kansas home by a tornado. In a different land with evil witches and nice witches, a scarecrow who wants a brain, a tin man who wants a heart, and a cowardly lion that wants to be brave, Dorothy will learn what it means to be a true friend and what it takes to get back home. This book has no awards. This book can be used in the classroom for students to write a narrative essay based on a character they related to in the book. For example, the cowardly lion that wants to be brave. The student would write the narrative essay on a moment where they felt brave, like the lion, and what they would do differently if they had realized they had the power to be brave all along. Another example would be a time a student felt homesick, like Dorothy. The student could write a narrative essay on a time they missed being home and what they did about it. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was published by Macmillan Publishers. It is 160 pages long and intended for grade 6. This story begins with Alice reading a story before she sees a white rabbit scurrying about. She follows him down the rabbit hole and into Wonderland. She has many journeys in Wonderland and meets many different beings along the way. Some beings are good and some are evil. Alice must overcome many battles before she is able to return home. This book has won the Kate Greenaway Medal. This book can be used in the classroom to show that nothing is ever what it seems, and that battles can be overcome and you can always find your way back home. This book would be a great opportunity to ask students to create short skits to represent an adventure that Alice has in Wonderland and how it affects her as well as what she has learned. Peter Pan was published by Sterling. It is 160 pages long and intended for grades 6 to 8. One night, Peter Pan travels to Wendy's house to find Peter's shadow. When they hear Peter, they all wake up and Peter teaches them to fly. They follow Peter and his friend Tinkerbell to Neverland, where children can always have fun. Once there, Captain Hook, who is Peter's enemy, comes after them. Soon after, Wendy and her brothers begin to miss home. Peter Pan has won the Whitbread Award. This book can be used in the classroom for creative writing. There are many prompts a teacher can use to get the students writing. Middle school is a hard time for many students, so a topic can be, I don't want to grow up. Students could make an About Me poster including their childhood, where they are now, and lastly, where they want to be in the future. Ella Enchanted is published by HarperCollins. It is 240 pages long and intended for the 3rd to 7th grade. When Ella is born, she is cursed by a fairy who isn't particularly good at her job. The fairy thinks that she is doing something good for Ella when she gives her the gift of obedience. It is soon clear that it is not a gift, as Ella must do anything anyone tells her. When Ella's mother dies, she sets out to break the curse by tracking down the fairy who bestowed this upon her. She eventually finds that her happily ever after was in her control the whole time. This book has won the John Newbery Medal and Dorothy Canfield Fisher Children's Book Award. This book can be used in the classroom to represent the way things differ from one person's perspective to another. This could be used to ask the students to retell a story from the perspective of the fairy who gave Ella the gift of obedience and the way she probably felt or why she chose that gift to give. This book allows for a lot of twists and turns and a not-so-usual fairy tale. The book is an excellent representation of a woman standing up for herself and not needing a prince to save her. This could be an excellent example of a female heroine. The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood was published by CreateSpace independent publishing platform, Reprint. It is 130 pages long and intended for intermediate grade levels. Robin Hood is very good at archery in Sherwood Forest. He fights with his friends against the injustices that Sheriff of Nottingham is doing. Others see Robin as a hero who fights for the rights of the poor, but some see him as a menace. Once the king returns, he tries to stop Robin, but he learns how kind he really is, and he allows him to continue on his work. This book has won no awards. This book can be used in the classroom for character breakdown. Students can discuss anger and times they felt mad. They can also do a trial to justify if what Robin did was right or wrong. A report can also be written on the background of Robin Hood as either a myth or legend, along with details about the setting and the era that it was written in. Our response to the intermediate selections. Our group believes that The Wizard of Oz is a positive representation of many life lessons. These include unlikely friendships and teamwork, believing in yourself, and that the grass is not always greener on the other side. This is also a reminder to surround yourself with kind people and that you've always got the power within you. This is similar to Ella Enchanted in the sense that she has the power within herself to change her life. Instead of obeying because you have to, that you should desire to have good morals. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland encourages dreaming and creativity, that no one can hold you back from achieving something, and that you should always stand for what you believe in and to practice what you preach. We think that Peter Pan teaches that growing up isn't so bad. This is important in helping students to face their possible fears of the future and encourages them to believe in themselves and never lose their hope. We believe that Robin Hood teaches students not to place so much value in mere materialistic ways and that stealing is never okay. However, you should always act upon things that will be positive for the greater good. The high school books are The Iliad, The Odyssey, Treasure Island, The Swiss Family Robinson, and Beowulf. The Iliad was published by Penguin Classics Reprint Edition. It is 740 pages long and intended for high school grade level. During the Trojan War, the 10-year siege of the city of Troy by a coalition of Greek states, it tells of the battles and events during the weeks of a quarrel between King Agamemnon and the warrior Achilles, who has taken the king's daughter as his own. The Iliad has won the National Book Award in Translation 1991, Harold Morton Landon Translation Award of the Academy of American Poets 1991. This book can be used during a time when the students are learning about the topics of war and heroism. The students can read a copy of the poem and then create a compare and contrast poster between the topics being discussed, for example, the Civil War, and how the Civil War compares and contrasts to topics in the Iliad. The Odyssey was published by Penguin Classics Reissue Edition, 1997. It is 560 pages long and intended for grades 9 to 12. The Odyssey is a sequel to the Iliad. It stars Odysseus in his struggle to return home after a 10-year-long battle. Odysseus faces many challenges. He battles mythical creatures and the wrath of the gods. Meanwhile, his wife and his son are fighting to hold the throne to Ithaca long enough for Odysseus to return, while suitors vied for Penelope's hand. This book has won the Academy Award in Literature from the American Academy of Arts and Letters. For this epic poem, the same idea as used for the Iliad could apply to it, or a different one, such as having the students create their own poem based on the theme and happenings in the Odyssey. Students will have different choices to pick from. They can create a response to the poem, they can pretend that they are one of the characters and write a poem based on what they believe the character was feeling during the poem, or recreate this poem in a modern version. Treasure Island was published by Cassell and Company. It is 302 pages long and is intended for the 9th to 10th grade. A story about Jim Hawkins, the son of a tavern owner. He goes on an adventure and faces treachery on the high seas for a treasure hunt. Treasure Island has won the Doncaster Book Award and the V&A Illustration Award. This book can be used in the classroom for students to learn about adventure. Students can use this book to come up with their own adventure. It is a great writing activity for students to express their own interests. The Swiss Family Robinson was published by Signet Classics. It is 544 pages long and intended for the 9th grade. A family is stranded on an island after a terrible storm leads to a crew abandoning a ship. The family must learn to hunt and provide for each other in an uncharted territory. The family learns to make a life for themselves on the island and overcome obstacles and dangers together. Throughout their adventure, they find a young girl who has been shipwrecked and take her as their own. Finally, they are rescued by an English frigate and taken to safety. This book has won no awards. This book can be used in the classroom for learning about survivor skills and overcoming battles. It can also be an excellent topic for writing and understanding family dynamics as well as teamwork. It can be used as a source for a creative writing assignment that places students in the same situation. They would have to decide what their roles would be as well as how they think they would deal with the situations that come up for the family in the book. Beowulf was published by Signet Classics. It is 160 pages long and intended for high school grade level. This is the longest surviving Anglo-Saxon poem. A warrior named Beowulf comes to help the king of Danes protect his land from a monster named Grendel. Beowulf kills Grendel, but Grendel's mom is now coming after Beowulf for revenge. Beowulf kills the mother and goes on with his life. Many years later, Beowulf is needed to kill a dragon, and with the help of Wiglaf, they help kill him. Unfortunately, Beowulf is wounded and is buried at sea. This book has won the Whitbread Award and the Time Stephen Spender Prize. This book would be used in the classroom to learn about different styles of writing. Students will be able to learn about literature from the Middle Ages. Perhaps a class could do a mock trial putting Beowulf against the giant's family, or they can bring the story of Beowulf into the modern times and rewrite the story. Our response to the high school selections. Swiss Family Robinson was our favorite book from this category because of the strong lesson in teamwork. This helps to show that no matter the obstacle, if you band together and work as a team, they can truly accomplish anything. No matter what this family was faced with, they found a way to make it work. The Odyssey and the Iliad teaches about self-control, sexual temptations, loyalty, and compassion. This is a useful tool in helping students to understand why it is important to abstain from negative influences. We agree that high school is a tumultuous time of change and conforming. Treasure Island is an excellent tool in teaching students that staying true to yourself is one of the most important things you can do through hardships. In facing the future and obstacles after high school, Beowulf teaches to pick your battles wisely, know when to quit, and to always face things with bravery and courage. This also is a lesson in finding your Wiglaf, someone to always fight by your side and share your struggles with.